Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this morning's episode of Trending, brought to you in association with Iconic Coffee. If you head over to shop.iconic.com, you get 10% off. I'm joined on this very rainy and grim Thursday morning by Richard Willett, but it's not any normal Thursday morning, Richard. It's the 100th episode of Trending.
It is. Happy birthday to us. Oh, you look magnificent. You do. Watch for lightning though, because that's it's
no
not tinfoil
there. 100 episodes, magic. Luckily, Richard, we've got to 100 episodes before we're all going to die, aren't we? Something hit us from space. I hope so.
It is. It's coming down. It's raining down on us. Armageddon's coming. 3 city-killing asteroids. They haven't named which cities. They haven't named which size of the city. Your guess is as good as mine. 3 city-killing asteroid could strike Earth within weeks. And this is yesterday, a post yesterday, generating 1 million times more energy than a Hiroshima atomic bomb and a lot more than wind turbines as well. Good things don't come in threes. Venus is concealing at least 3 city-killer asteroids. It's concealing it. And that could strike Earth in weeks without warning, potentially wreaking havoc upon our planet before we can react. Luckily, the New York Times has told us about it. 20 co-orbit asteroids of Venus are currently known. The authors warned in a Crocker-Blicht study, which was published in the journal Astronomy and Astrophysics. The international research team, led by Valerio Caruba of Sao Paulo University in Brazil, wrote that at least 3 of the asteroids that circle the sun in tandem with our planet with our twin planet, have unstable orbits that can make them dangerously close to Earth. So, if we don't blow each other up, there's something coming up from the space that's going to blow us up. Either way, we're going to get blown up, Gaz.
Well, Derby, where I'm sat now, Rich, obviously a city you know very well, has just been voted the worst city in Britain. So if it hits here, 15 quid's worth of improvements probably. It makes me laugh because obviously it's a study. There's been a study. We love a study. Someone's done a study saying that, some of these asteroids are in a bit of a sort of, not particularly stable orbit. Okay. Then suddenly that becomes, well, it can blow up 3 cities. Where have you got 3 cities from? Where have you got that number from? It's a magic number, isn't it? 3. And it could happen within weeks. Well, how do you know it could happen within weeks? I don't. But I don't know that it couldn't happen within weeks. Just say weeks. It's honestly, it makes me laugh though, Rich, because I remember these stories from when I was a kid. We were always going to get hit by an asteroid, or the sun was going to blow up, or acid rain. There was always something just to keep you in this perpetual state of fear. And it's laughable to me, mate, honestly.
It's amazing, isn't it? An asteroid streaking towards Earth. We aim to assess the possible threat that yet undetected population of Venus could orbit. Orbiters may pose to Earth. Yet undetected population of Venus? Are they suggesting there's people living on Venus that we haven't heard about? So not only... Well, if I've read that wrong, let me read that again.
Females, aren't they, on Venus? Isn't it? Girls are from Venus and boys are from Mars, isn't that?
They are, yeah. Yep. They definitely are, all women up there. It's a right old party. An asteroid streaking towards Earth. And then this is a quote. We aim to assess the possible threat that the yet undetected population of Venus co-orbiters may pose to Earth, and to investigate their detectability from Earth and space observatories. I don't know if suggesting that there's people living on Venus, and obviously there'll all be women, which sounds wonderful.
Well, women streaking towards Earth,
just in that general direction.
I'm wondering if because obviously I've just said, like, they've been doing this for years. As long as I can remember, there's been asteroids about to hit us and we're all going to die. If it's not that, it's illness or it's war or it's terrorism or it's weather. You will be frightened of something. Get those cortisol levels up, ladies and gentlemen. Stress. But at the same time, I think, well, if I put my tinfoil hat on, then do we need a world army or something to combat it, to be able to fight back against all these asteroids that are going to come and destroy the planet? Or are they populated by little green men that are going to come and take over, and we need a one world religion and a one world government and a one world army and a one world bank and a one world football team to fight back? I don't know. I'm erring on the side of it's all nonsense, but my mind is open to more manipulation, Rich.
Mine is too. And there'll be all little green women, and that'll be obviously the space kind of wars, Star Wars. I think we had a few years back, didn't we? I'm sure there was a Trump thing called Star Wars. Everyone's forgot about it. So yeah, the Star Wars system. We're going to need a Neuralink in the sky because there's little green women from Venus coming at us and gesturing towards us. Yeah, it's more fear-mongering. It's all nonsense, obviously, isn't it? But, if you have a guess, 1 out of 10, you might get it right. Who's going to know? We're all going to be, 3 cities will be gone. Derby will be, better off.
Who knows, mate? If it comes through and it creates a Starlink, maybe, and then the Marvels assemble and all sorts goes on, who knows? I don't know. I'm at a point now, Rich, right, where I wake up every morning and I look at what's going on in the world and I think it's so mental that I don't know if there are going to be little green streaking women flying down on the back of an asteroid. I don't know. And if they arrived, probably go and get some food or something. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Right, moving on to more nonsense, obviously. Only 2% of steel used to make offshore wind turbines are British. You know how much I like wind turbines, Rich. I'm a huge fan. Love them. Beautiful things. They don't kill the landscape. They don't kill birds. They're just wicked. Love them. UK steelmakers are being locked out of Energy Secretary Ed Miliband's green energy push, as almost no steel used to make offshore wind turbines are British. Swathes of turbines, horrible things, doesn't say that, but they are, some as tall as the Eiffel Tower, give me a break, are to be erected in Britain in the next quarter of a century using steel worth up to £21 billion. But while domestic producers say they could supply nearly 90% of what's needed, UK-made steel accounts for less than 2% of what's used, it's emerged. Industry bosses fear missing out on huge economic benefits from the heavily subsidised turbines, subsidised by you and me, my friends, which could secure thousands of skilled jobs. Now, the thing is, the skilled jobs and the boost to the UK economy is what sold net zero nonsense to the people. It's like, yeah, okay, it's dreadful. Your energy bills are going through the roof. It's weird. You're having power cuts now, which we weren't having, but bear with me. It's going to be great. This new green economy is going to boost Britain. Everyone's going to have a job. People are going to be swimming in money. And it transpires, as always, that if you just scratch away the tiniest little piece of surface, you realise that it's all lies, because that's all the Labour Party does. It's all any politician does, to be honest. We're buying our oil and gas from Norway rather than drilling for our own. We're, even in our so-called eco-friendly power plants, we're chopping down trees in Canada and importing the wood here so we can burn it. And also, Rich, this just dawned on me. I thought that log stoves were bad for the environment. They were not eco-friendly. Well, how is a log-powered power station eco-friendly then?
You're not supposed to connect those two together.
It's just a really big one.
Well, that's it. And if you set it on fire or it combusts, then it's pretty much the same thing. You're not supposed to put these things together. You're not supposed to connect these dots. It's silly. Where are they getting this steel from then? Where are they stealing this steel from if they're not getting it from the UK?
China, probably.
Right.
China,
okay.
probably.
Yeah.
Or actually, probably a country that they've got sanctions on. We don't buy Russian steel because we've got sanctions on Russia. So what we do is we buy it from India. Well, where do the Indians get their steel from? Russia, because that's what they did before when we were buying energy from. We were buying oil from India, and it turned out that India was importing it from Russia. The whole thing's just absurd, and it makes me laugh because I just look at it and I just think: is there anything real? Is there anything that the government says, even if they say it accidentally, that's true, or is it just all absolute nonsense? I'm going
it's absolute nonsense
at the minute because it's getting absurd. I mean. The fact that I don't like these wind turbines, Rich, you know, we laugh about it because I whinge about them all the time. I can't stand them. But if you're going to have them, the fact that you're not investing taxpayer money in British industry, so it goes into British companies, into British people's pockets, then back into Britain's economy, and then it's paid in the taxes that then fund. So you get a perfect circle of funding by doing that. Instead, we're taxing the living daylights out of British people who haven't got a pot to urinate in anyway, and you're sending that money to China or wherever else they're buying this steel in from, and you're sending it to Norway for gas and oil and stuff like that. It's not coming back. It's gone then. And other people's economies are thriving, and we are just literally on our knees. And I'm not having it that it's not intentional, Rich. At this point, I'm not having it that it's accidental. I mean, I know Ed Miliband's a moron. You just have to look at him. But the people behind him that are making these decisions, they're not stupid. They know what they're doing. They're destroying us on purpose, mate.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Yeah, we said about it yesterday. Me and Jamie were talking about the fall of the West, the fall of Rome, and it always has this kind of connotations in the background. So yeah, absolutely. It's been done by design. All of the industry's been ripped out of the country, out of the UK completely, to be reliant on something else. And then once you're reliant on something, they can control you through it. So who's controlling those? And they're proxies. That's it, isn't it? It's just taken. There was a great empire here. We did have, not that long ago, a great infrastructure, and it's been dismantled on purpose for the next phase of control. And it's sad to see this whole system, especially when it goes into the technology age, where you're mining all of these minerals from Ukraine and elsewhere, Congo, for cheap labor, where people think that, that doesn't go on. Well, it does go on. Elon Musk's even been pulled up for it. So, the industry is changing, but there's no infrastructure here to support that. We're going to be reliant on everything else.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I say I'm not all for empire and taking over countries and all this. The sun never sets on the British Empire and all that sort of stuff. I don't like any of that imperialistic nonsense. I'm not a fan of it in the slightest. But we did used to look after ourselves as well. Even going back to when I was a kid and you were a kid, Rich, not that long ago, the industries that we had that we don't have anymore. The fishing industry, all the fisher thems are being completely destroyed by Starmer and his capitulation to the EU. The steel industry not far from where I live, Sheffield, the hockey team's still called the Sheffield Steelers. That's what it was. They made steel in Sheffield. Now it's nothing. It's honestly, it's ridiculous. Right, moving on then, Rich. Next story, another example of just the fact that the world is quite a dark place right now, mate.
Yeah, this one is a difficult one to watch. So this is the Palestinian Ambassador to the UN, Rihad Mansour, breaks down in tears as he tells Secretary Council that what is unfolding in Gaza is human tragedy, deliberately caused by Israel. Now, this is the UN ambassador, Palestinian UN ambassador for Israel. So it's a difficult watch. And hopefully this will finally get through, because these are some, this is not just the general public that's speaking like this. This is someone who's right front and center to it. So, it's a difficult watch, but here you go.
Children are dying of starvation. The images of mothers embracing their motionless bodies, caressing their hair, talking to them, apologizing to them. This is unbearable. How could anyone tolerate this sorrow? Excuse me, Mr. President. I have grandchildren. I know what they mean to their families. And to see the situation of the Palestinians without us having hearts to do something is beyond the ability of any normal human being to tolerate.
Again, that was a difficult watch. And what infuriates me personally is that the alternative media here was here to stop that sort of thing from being perpetuated. We were here to make sure that the mainstream media was held to account. Therefore, the politicians were held to account. And we're not, well, we are, but there's certain elements that get boosted that are not doing their job. When you see that, you realize that how could that have happened? That cannot happen without it being funded. That cannot happen without the UK and the US funding those deaths. All those children burned, dead, blown up. All those adults, man and female, blown up, dead, limbs missing, were funded by the UK. Not us, not me and you, but our tax money. But the US tax money, they talk about it openly, less so in the UK, where we supply 15% of the Israeli jets. But here, they're talking about it. So this is March the 1st, 2025, and this is from the state.gov US website. So this is the official website. So this is Mark Rubio. I have signed a declaration to use emergency authorities to expedite the delivery of approximately $4 billion in military assistance to Israel on the 1st of March. Then they go on to try and blame Biden somehow. And then they said, since taking office, the Trump administration has approved nearly $12 billion in major FMS sales to Israel, so it's arms sales. This important decision coincides with Trump's repeal of Biden-era memorandum, which had imposed baseless and politicized conditions. Politicized conditions don't kill children, or anyone for that fact, on military assistance to Israel at a time when our close ally was fighting a war. It's not a war. It's not a war. In 2019, Netanyahu openly told us that he was propping up Hamas for a very long time. A war of survival on multiple fronts against Iran and terror proxies. Like, this is the money, 12 billion to slaughter those in Gaza from the 1st of March. And what are certain elements of the alternative media doing? How can you be against the slaughter of these Palestinians in Gaza and ongoing elsewhere now, and then turn around to support Trump at the very same time? He's funding it. If I bought you a rifle and you went into a bank and took over the bank, I would be done for aiding and abetting it, knowing that you were going to go into that bank and do that. This is exactly what's going on. I don't understand how anyone can support Trump and then be against Israel's, what they're doing in Palestine and in Gaza. It doesn't make sense to me, guys.
I'll be honest, the mainstream media has done more of a job, not all of it, but overall, it's done more of a job to call out this genocide than the alternative media. Certainly the major alternative media, which is completely co-opted. I mean, the Daily Wire is an Israel front, isn't it? Let's have it right. And your Tim Pools and these other, bubble hat accounts are all still on YouTube, obviously, because they never call out the under-level boss. What I find interesting is you made the point there, Rich, about the fact that, there was this manufactured fake spat, wasn't there, between Netanyahu and Trump, where he's almost kind of it's really bad what's going on in Gaza, and like you've just made the point there, yeah, you're funding it, mate. This guy Steve Witkoff, he's the guy that we're now told is going to save the Palestinians. He's going to get the ceasefire. He's going to stop the genocide. Not that they're saying genocide because they're terrified of the G word. We're told he's America first, Richard, and that he has helped Trump move away from that Israel control. So apparently this guy is behind, maneuvering away from Netanyahu. Like I say, it's window dressing. Me and you've spoke about this before. So let's talk about this Steve guy and how he's all about, looking after the Palestinians and moving away from Israel control. He was given, it wasn't just Donald Trump that was given a golden pager by Israel and by the Mossad. Steve was given one as well. Now, for people at home, it's a bit of a joke that a lot of people in the so-called alternative media found ever so funny because Israel set off a bunch of bugged, booby-trapped pagers in Lebanon that went off in public places and killed children and members of the public. Hilarious. So Steve received one of them from the Mossad, which said on the back of it, Steve, friend of Israel and one tough Jew. So this is the guy that's moving Israel away from Trump and is going to be helping stop the genocide against the Palestinians. Okay, Steve, friend of Israel. He shrugged off reports of massacred civilians and said, this is previously, Netanyahu feels he's got no other alternative than blowing up kids. It's weird. When Biden halted delivery of £2,000 bombs to Israel, Witkoff called his Zionist friend and raised millions of dollars from them to give to Trump, promising that shipments would not be paused under his administration if Trump won the election. Of course, Trump did win the election, and once Trump got in, the shipments continued. He stood and applauded Netanyahu at Congress. You know how they all do, like that, like a bunch of seals. This is the guy that's going to stop the genocide, is it? Witkoff raised money alongside his friend Miriam Adelson, who is the owner of Donald Trump, for United Hatzler, which is the group that invented all the atrocity propaganda lies about October 7th. So obviously what happened on October 7th was disgusting. No one's condoning it. I don't believe in the killing of anyone. But there weren't 40 beheaded babies. Babies weren't put in ovens and the ovens turned on. This was basically taking something awful and then making it like beyond the realm to create such a distortion in people's minds that you got your Jordan Peterson tweets of give them hell, because so many people fought. They beheaded babies. They put babies in the kill them all. And that's the reaction they wanted. That organization were the ones that made up that stuff, which has been debunked. It didn't happen. Horrible things happened. That didn't. He was raising money for that. And this is the guy, Rich, that is now, he's now the one that's pulling Trump away from Israel. Are you having a laugh, mate? Honestly, it's laughable, Rich.
It's absolutely disgusting, and I didn't know that part. But obviously, there's going to be put one of your guys in there. I mean, October the 7th, we all know was allowed to happen. There's no way you can get in there in a bunch of they had the Iron Dome. They just switched it off for the weekend, and they allowed a bunch of hang gliders in, and people on bikes, people on motorbikes, and people on they're not tanks. They were just like army vehicles. It's just Range Rovers. It's just absurd. It was allowed to happen. They filmed it on purpose. It was ridiculous. It was a false, not so much a false flag doesn't mean that it didn't happen. People were killed. But what I'm saying is that if you go to the deep roots of Hamas, like Al-Qaeda, like many of these terrorist organizations, they are at their root funded by the same people that benefit from the terror that they're creating. And they are creating terror and they are killing people. Absolutely. But who's controlling them? And we know this. This is an old play. This goes way, way back to how it's already done. The Gulf War was the same. 9/11 was the same. How many times does this have to be done? So it's just, it frustrates me, the alternative media that was put there. And now you can see that the major alternative media platforms that really get boosted, or pretend they don't, but they absolutely do because they kiss Elon Musk's arse, were put there, in my opinion, for moments like this. Because you cannot have that cognitive dissonance not to know what you're doing. You are aiding and abetting the funding that's aiding and abetting the slaughter of these children. Yeah. It's illogical. It's totally illogical. It winds me up. Go and do something else if you're going to do that with your life, or do your job.
It's extraordinary, though, because these alternative media types will know that the first Gulf War, Saddam's, they're getting babies out of incubators and chucking them on the floor and all that kind of stuff. It was all nonsense, and they know it was nonsense. It was used to manufacture consent for the first Gulf War, and then in the second Gulf War, weapons of mass destruction, destroying European cities within 45 minutes, and all that stuff, all nonsense, and they know it was nonsense. And Assad's killing his own people with chemical weapons. They know that's all nonsense. Yeah, 40 beheaded babies. Yep, I'll buy it. Hook, line and sinker. Bosh. Give them hell. Honestly, mate. Final story, Rich. RFK Jr. announces COVID jabs removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule. Here's a video of RFK Jr. announcing that.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS Secretary, and I'm here today with NIH Director Dr. Jay Bhattacharya and FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary. I couldn't be more pleased to announce that as of today, the COVID vaccine for healthy children and healthy pregnant women has been removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule. Last year, the Biden administration urged healthy children to get yet another COVID shot despite the lack of any clinical data to support the repeat booster strategy in children.
That ends today. It's common sense and it's good science.
There's no evidence healthy kids need it today, and most countries have stopped recommending it for children.
We're now one step closer to realizing President Trump's promise to make America healthy again.
Produced by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Okay, so today the COVID vaccine for healthy children and healthy pregnant women has been removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule. Bottom line, it's common sense and it's good science. This is what he tweeted. We are now one step closer to realizing Trump's promise to make America healthy again. Well, language is important, Richard. Healthy children and healthy pregnant women. So the jabs are still going to be recommended for those that are considered to be unhealthy children and unhealthy pregnant women. Bear in mind, this is in a country where 42% of children are on some form of regular medication. 73% of the population are overweight. 41% of the population are clinically obese. 92% of older adults have at least one chronic illness, with 77% having at least two chronic illnesses. Right, so this isn't the win people think it is. Now, I understand sometimes you need to take wins, and we're told that in the alternative we don't take wins when they come along. Well, okay, that's true some of the time, absolutely. But this isn't the win people think it is, because these toxic poisons are still going to be chucked out to millions of people. Just those percentages alone tell you how much of the American population would be considered unhealthy. A ridiculous amount. Now, nothing short of completely pulling them, taking them off of not only the recommended list, but taking them off the frickin' shelf is good enough, because as long as they're available, doctors are going to gaslight people for their 30 pieces of silver, and they're going to chuck this in the arms of people, and they're going to hurt people. Now, if the damages that had been done by these, and it's not just Pfizer, they're all as bad as each other, really. AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, they're all as bad as each other. If I tell you what, if a millionth, probably actually, if a millionth of the damage was done by a single pipe of Pringles, then Pringles would have been pulled off of the shelves of every supermarket around the world. Yet these things are still handed out left, right, and centre. It's absolutely despicable. And so the amount of people that are jumping on it, going, yes, well done, RFK Jr., that's what we voted for. Come on, mate. Language is important. Healthy children and healthy pregnant women, meaning those more vulnerable, are still going to have this shite dumped in their veins. It's despicable, Rich.
It is. And also, it's all very well doing the right thing or pretending to do the right thing after the damage is done, isn't it? It's all very well going, we're not going to, it's not bad what's happening in Gaza, after you've done the damage and funded the damage. It's all very well after warp speed, isn't it? The 17th of November 2024, this is what Donald Trump put out. We're coming up to the 5-year anniversary of COVID. And if you recall, under President Trump's leadership, he wrote this himself, third
Talking
person.
about himself in third person.
Like The Rock, yeah. We had an incredible public health policies. President Trump's unparalleled creation of Operation Warp Speed was one like we've never seen before. Oh, sorry, this was Dr. Janet Neshwat. He posted it, but it was a quote. He was celebrating this in November of last year. What do you say? How can you go, we're keeping President Trump's promise, and then he's celebrating it at the same time. He's frying his followers' brains. They're going, I don't understand. I cannot compute. 2 + 2 is equaling 19 right now. It's absurd. It's absurd. He's celebrating these things. And it's all very well. And this is a play that I've noticed more lately, is that they'll go in after all the damage is done and pretend to be supporting the clear up. And people are forgetting, not us, not anyone with a cognitive level above a 12-year-old is forgetting, but many people that follow him are forgetting purposely or ignoring it, the fact that he's even still celebrating it.
Yeah. People reinvent themselves. Mark Zuckerberg reinvented himself. Reform reinvented themselves. People forget that as well. You know, Tyson Farage calling out the jabs, that you were promoting.
Yep.
Yeah, the ones, Richard Tice, that you were saying NHS workers, you couldn't see how they could continue to work in the NHS if they weren't going to get it. Okay, Richard. Okay, Nigel. Honestly, the amount of times we say it, what you do when you're at the coalface is what matters. I don't care what you say afterwards when it's socially acceptable for you to say it. Because that's irrelevant. Because all that means is next time you're at the coalface, you'll go back to who you were before. A snivelling little coward. Anyway, it's been 100 episodes, Rich. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Happy birthday. And
Happy
here's to
birthday.
many, many more.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. You're back tomorrow with Jay, aren't you, Richard?
I am, yep.
Yeah, perfect. So Richard and Jay will see you then. I'll see you on Tuesday, I think. I'm not here Monday. Have a great weekend anyway. And as always, Trending is brought to you in association with Iconic Coffee. If you head over to shop.iconic, I'm going to take that off, shop.iconic.com and use the code Trending, you get 10% off. Take care, mate. See ya.
See you later.